Hi, and welcome to yet another Event Planner TV episode. Before I introduce my guests today, I want to share that we will launch a new Event Planner TV series where we dive into very interesting event cases. Today we will bring a brand activation case, but if you have an interesting event case you want to share with our audience, get in touch. Eve and Bart, welcome to our studio.
Thank you.
Hi.
You're both from Sylvester Agency. And you brought a very interesting brand activation case today, but maybe I'll let you explain what is the case about.
The case is about a project that we've done for Europe, more specific for European funds, but we'll come to that later, where we wanted to communicate to youngsters what is Europe about, bring some positive awareness about Europe to the youngsters.
Okay, before we start, how did Europe come to Sylvester? Was it a pitch that was organized, or how did that process go?
Well, first of all, the four European funds which we collaborated with, they are managed by the Flemish government. And the Flemish government has a framework agreement with Sylvester. So first of all, it wasn't a pitch. And the reason why this project was such a success is partly because of that, because it allowed us to collaborate with our client to did a first proposal, to keep the good things from the first proposal, to remove the lesser things and come back with an even greater proposal. And in that way, we managed to have a great collaboration with our clients.
Do I understand it correctly that you say it could be more creative because it wasn't a pitch then?
We could be more creative because we were allowed to get in touch again with the client and to have a little bit of ping pong back and forward indeed with the client. And I think for the creative process that's very important, because you can get wildly creative, but if it's not what the client wants, it's not creative at all.
If we then go to the initial brief, what was the question you got?
The European funds make a campaign for Europe every year. They want to show the inhabitants of the countries, to show them what Europe does in their daily lives in their region. This campaign is every year around the 9th of May, Europe Day. This year, 2022, is the year of the youngsters. So they wanted to focus with their campaign on youngsters. That's a very difficult target group, we don't have to tell you. So they wanted to reach them in a way that's appealing and attractive for the youngsters and to make some positive awareness about Europe. How to do that? They already initiated the idea to work with some innovative technology. The client said maybe we can work with AR or VR. Then we had an internal brainstorm about this project, and we did some research because we have to work together with a partner who's specialized in this innovative technology. And we came out with Yonder. They are very specialized in 360 VR movies. So we got back to the client with the idea of making a VR movie, 360 VR movie, with storytelling, with some narrative in the film where you will lead the youngsters from project to other projects that Europe has funded.
Okay. If I'm not mistaken, the reason why it's the year of the youngsters is because the elections that are coming up, and that Europe wants to get a positive image, get everybody to the voting.
Exactly. The Belgian government has decided that from the elections in 2024, youngsters from the age of 16 will be allowed to vote only for European elections, for the European Parliament. So it's important for youngsters to know about Europe. Mostly they don't have a clue. You know that Europe is something far away in Brussels, or maybe you know it's Eurovision song. But
isn't that Europe about?
If you ask youngsters, they don't have a clue. So you want to get them aware what Europe does in their daily lives, in their regions. Europe funds per year, or per 6 years, I think it is, more than hundreds of projects all through Flanders. So it's very important to show them what the impact of Europe is, so that the youngsters have a positive vibe about Europe, so that with the next elections they have this positive feeling and they want to go vote in a positive way for Europe.
So just imagine how we felt at Sylvester when that briefing came in. Sell Europe to youngsters 14 to 18 years old. Tell them that Europe is right next into their neighborhood. We have thousands of projects we funded, and go show them that we did this right next to their door. So that was extremely difficult.
And then on top of that, with an innovative technology.
Preferably.
Yeah.
Which is a good idea, of course, because that's the way how to attract young people. They are interested in all this new stuff, in gaming, and so you have to do it in a way that attracts them, that appeals them, that they are maybe curious about.
I already heard that you say, okay, we had a brainstorm, we came up with a virtual reality video, that we added a storyline to that. But even then, how do you make it attractive to that specific audience, which is a very difficult one?
Well, like I said before, we had a very good collaboration with the client. So we had, of course, a first internal brainstorm where we investigated some agencies like Yonder, for example, who helped us. But also like other technologies. We also investigated augmented reality. If the client specifically asked for a VR video, but is a VR video the best thing to do? So that's what we invested internally. But once we decided, let's go for the VR video, and let's go with Yonder for that one, we did a very, very large brainstorm session for several hours with Yonder, with the client, and they were represented by the 4 European funds, so a lot of people there. With our creative team at Sylvester, but also with a few people of the target audience. So that's
very interesting.
Yeah. So we had a few members of a school in Brussels who were allowed from their principal to skip a day of school to join.
They were very happy they could be there then.
Yeah, they were very happy, but they were also impressed by how it all was organized, the brainstorm, and that their opinion mattered. And we had a few suggestions, we had a few ideas, but it's not a good idea if it's not something that if it not appeals to your target audience. So they were included too, and they had some very big added value to the brainstorm. So we had almost 6 hours of brainstorm session, but it was separated in different topics, different goals, and at the end of it, our script was mostly ready at the end of the brainstorm. So that was also something that was really important in the process of this project.
Okay, if we then take the step further to the realization of the project, how do I need to see that video? How was it constructed? You talked already about storytelling. How was that all done?
That's a very important part of the movie, the storytelling. It was important that normally if you have VR goggles on, you are let loose. You can do whatever you want in a video. We wanted them to actually guide them through the movie, so we chose to work with a main character that shows you one project after the other, an innovative farm or a sustainable fishery project. And it's actually this main character that shows you these projects, and it's like a tandem. You, as viewer, the camera is the viewer position, and he talks directly to you, and so you're very engaged in the movie. And to make it even more attractive to youngsters, we chose for this main character not some random person, but a TikTok phenomenon.
Oh boy.
Oh boy. Yeah. These are the social media channels that they are.
Yeah, indeed, that's correct. That's how you reach them.
That's how you reach them. So we chose someone who is really popular in this specific target audience. Elias Verwild is a TikTok and Instagram influencer, so to say. He has on TikTok more than 600,000 followers, mainly in this group of 14 to 16-year-olds.
He's also that age, or?
No, he's a little bit older. He's 20 or 21, but he really appeals to this. He makes funny videos about teachers in classrooms, and then he often does this video where he plays two characters. He's then and the student and the teacher, and then makes funny memes and stuff like that. Very very funny. A bit hyperactive, but really cool.
But
Which
it works.
Which works very well. He has a very expressive face, makes all these kind of funny looks. It's very funny to look at.
So he takes you into that journey.
Exactly. And also in his very own style, very recognizable own style, which is really cool to see. And it really appealed to the youngsters. We didn't only use him as a main character in the movie, but also used him as the national face for our social media campaign. So it was really on two levels working. And he was really enthusiastic about the project himself. We went with him to this different project to shoot the movie, and he was like, whoa, look at this, and wow.
So it was really a genuine
it was
response.
actually an authentic expression that he showed there.
How is that working with an influencer? Because influencers like to do it their way. On the other hand, you also have your brief. You want to deliver in a certain way. Can you steer them, or?
First of all, it's about finding the right match. So Elias wasn't the only person we contacted, but it was very much the first one where we felt a really good connection. He understood the project. He was very enthusiastic about it, and I think that was the main reason why we chose him over the other ones.
It was a very organic process as well. I have like hours of WhatsApp conversation with him where he proposed his TikTok story or his Instagram story that he wants to make. He sent some screenshots, and I was like commenting on it and saying, don't forget the hashtag this and the hashtag EU in my region, EU at my school, these kind of things. So, okay. And then it's really hours of conversation.
And at first we did our research, because you don't want to have an influencer. Everybody has his own style. You want to have, of course, somebody who is, if you see Europe like a brand, who matches with the brand. And that was with Elias already okay. And then his enthusiasm was also very, very, very okay. And then we started going back and forward again, also with him. So the storyline is adapted to the style of Elias and not the other way around. Because if you want to use an influencer, it's needed to let them be themselves. Otherwise, it's not authentic. And for people in the target audience, if they're not authentic, they don't believe your story, and they drop out, because in the end, the video was like about 3 minutes. But somebody in the target audience of 14 to 18, they choose in a few seconds if this is something they want to watch or they don't want to watch. So they drop out very fast. So if you don't let the influencer speak in the way he normally does, the whole thing, it all falls apart. So but with Elias, the connection, we didn't have to steer him too much, because we already knew he was good for us as ambassador. And we adapted a little bit of our things to make him feel comfortable in his role.
But in the talk we had before we started shooting, you also mentioned that it was not only just Elias taking people into that journey. There were also a lot of other things and gimmicks going on in the video if you started looking around, because it is a virtual reality video.
It's a 360 experience, so you have to use this 360 environment where you are as a viewer. So we have the main character guiding you through the story, but in the meantime, if you're looking around and you just want to see, there were many small things that we introduced in the video, like some extra sounds or extra graphics or funny emojis. For example, we have the messed robot in the farm, and then we
the manure robot.
And then we use like a little shit emoji. But that's the thing that
that's
the youngsters
the language
like.
of
That's the language
that's
they
the
like.
language they
Exactly.
speak. So you should use that.
And we also put a lot of effort in those details. So when the video was completely done, the work on all those little things just started. So it's a 360-degree video. So when Elias is talking to you directly, also stuff over here is happening, and also stuff over there is happening, and that's a process that we with our own creative team at Sylvester, we went every time we saw a new version of the video, we went back to it. Okay, what can we do more? What can we do more to improve even the user experience even more? So we put also a really lot of effort in all the other extra things, in the music, in the
it's different layers that have to.
It's all about different layers. Yeah, the sound effects about things happening behind you and making you to want to look around. So.
Which, as a result, had that when we went with the video to the schools and students watched the video, that they wanted to see it again because you hadn't seen everything the first time.
Parts.
The first time when you see the movie, you're very, whoa, what's this? And then then you finish the movie and then I want to see it again because so much happened.
Good that you mentioned that you went with the video to the schools, because until now we had a great video, but then it needed to be delivered to the right targets audience. How did that go? It was a roadshow, I understood.
Yeah, that was also a very difficult part about the roadshow. Where can we meet our target audience? Because it's not like, I'm going to sound very old at this point, but it's not like in my age, you can go to the neighborhood with all the bars and you can find them over there. That's mostly over, that's done. So the schools was most likely the best option to get this roadshow going and to have the maximum
effect out of it. Yeah, with these high target numbers that we had from the client, they wanted 8,000 to 10,000 students to see the movie. You have to go to where they are. So schools are a very logic approach.
That's an ambitious target. If you have a VR movie that for 3 minutes and you know so many students, how did you tackle that?
Well, first of all, we said to the client,
calm down,
slow down, 6,000, that will be great, that will be fantastic. But they kept on pushing to the 8 to 10,000.
And with the client, we have a very good relationship. So we brought ideas, they brought ideas, and we together formed a solution with this brand activation stand where we can put 10 students at a time with 10 VR goggles at a time with a sync app, so we can start one movie in 10 goggles at one time. So we had a flow of 800 students a day.
800 a day.
Yeah.
When we went to school and started with the first hour, a class hour, and then every hour, check. At the end, 800 a day.
Yeah, and that's also something that the client really added. Our main person that we spoke with the most was Jasper Vervloed. And he also has a teacher background. So what he did is we made some technical information about the technical details of the stand, but he added something very valuable for the schools, and that's the learning process for the school. So something that they could integrate into their lessons. And normally, if the teacher wants to talk about Europe, it's mainly like when we at Sylvester received a briefing, it's like, that will be a difficult story. Mm-hmm. But they also saw in the schools that once they have seen the roadshow, or that they knew that the roadshow was coming, they were more open to learn a little bit about Europe. So the schools were very happy with us coming over there. And that's also the reason why, it's maybe a spoiler already, but that the roadshow will get a second part in September, because so many schools saw the results and they now also want to have a visit from the roadshow, so that they also can integrate this in their package of lessons.
Yeah. If there will be a second tour, I also assume the results of the campaign itself were also very good and positive. How did you measure that?
We counted every student. No.
Yeah, for sure. But I also think you did some research into whether the message sticks, whether they,
of course,
eventually will
Yeah,
start
we
voting
did
and have interest in Europe.
yeah.
Exactly. There's some impact analysis being done. First of all, we have a number of total students that visited the roadshow because we had numbers from the schools of students going by. We reached our target.
Congratulations.
We had 9,210.
Oh, even more than expected.
Well, it was 8,000 to 10,000, so let's say it was on target.
On target.
But a very ambitious target.
So that's already first good point. But then when the students had seen the movie, they could fill in a fun quiz afterwards with some questions about the movie and about the European projects to see if they really gained some extra information, if they really learned something from the movie. And the results were very good. They answered the yes or no questions all correct. It was really good. And then next to that, we also did some impact analysis with some questions. Sometimes the student was picked out to ask whether they liked the experience, if they learned something from Europe, if they want to learn more about Europe. And the results were really good.
Can you tell me how good?
Can we already?
The results were a bit. Jasper told us they're a bit Stalinistic. So we had. It was about 200 persons who were interviewed with the survey. For the record, it was the client itself who did the survey, so we were not involved. So he did it.
You didn't cheat anything.
No, but it was 100%. So everybody liked the way we presented it.
They
that's
thought it was a fun way of learning about Europe.
Yeah.
Okay, that's impressive already.
And then the 92% was said that they learned something about it that they didn't knew before. And about 80% was willing to learn even more about the projects they saw in the movie.
That's an impressive result, especially if you keep in consideration the target audience you're working with.
Of course,
the abstract product that we sold.
Indeed, also that. Yeah.
And so, because the results were so impressive, we also worked together with the European Commission, because they globalized the European funds. So our roadshow is now traveling through Europe as best practice to show other countries how to attract people in the target audience, because it's not only in Belgium that it's difficult to reach them. It's everywhere in Europe, probably everywhere in the world, that it's really difficult to get to them in their living.
So our complete project, making the VR film and going to schools with the roadshow, this whole idea is being shown to other communication services all through Europe as a best practice.
Sustainability is also an important topic in Europe.
True.
I can imagine that also was a requirement, or at least needed to be incorporated in the roadshow. How do you look at that as an agency?
First of all, we wanted to make something that was lasting, to say, so something that could be used not only today, but even in a year or 2 years. The movie is now being made and can be used over and over again. As shown, we will have a second roadshow this fall, but maybe next year as well, maybe in other countries as well. So that on itself is already a very sustainable thing. But next to that, we wanted also the brand activation itself to be sustainable. We used for the stand some really nice inflatables. We branded them in the European colors, blue and yellow. So it's like a blue structure with the yellow stars, very recognizable, very European. And only the side panels of the tents to close or to make walls, they were branded in the really campaign style with our influence, Elias, very central on the side panels. But these side panels can easily be exchanged for others. So the main structure can be used for other projects the European Commission or the European funds are organizing, and they just have to order different side panels, which is a lot cheaper, but also a lot more sustainable.
Yeah, everything is reusable, and because it were inflatables, everything could fit into a very small van. So we calculated the space that we needed with the chairs and with the desk, and everything fitted in a really small van, so that also the carbon footprint was as low as possible on this roadshow. So we kept in mind of every detail of the roadshow to ensure that the sustainability was.
We even
was
tried to
okay.
plan the visit of the schools, like all schools in Western Flanders were done in the same day, so that the person who we had a team manager leading the project on site, he could stay there, so he doesn't have to go all across Flanders. These are
makes sense.
little details that really make a big impact.
Those make the difference. Maybe as a last question, what was for you guys the biggest challenge in this project?
I'm going to let you respond to your thing. My thing was, because I did mostly the start of the project, was timing. So we received the briefing at the end of December, but then you still need to go to the whole creative process. So it was about the start of February until we were up and running with we had the brainstorms done, we had our vision, we started writing the script. But at that point, we needed to shoot the video. You see it over there on the screen. You have like a camera with 7 cameras, and once we had finished the shooting, the real work started, because you have like footage from these 7 cameras, and they need to be one image. So there is a lot of stitching it's called, done by Yonder, but that's manual work. So they have a software that does the beginning, but all the rest has to be done manually. So we were really up to the deadline with this kind of video. So timing was a big issue.
Because we had a very clear date that they wanted to start the roadshow with, which was Europe Day, the 9th of May. Like I said in the beginning, it's this.
So from December, and then the whole project should stand beginning of May.
We had our first test day was the 2nd of May.
Yeah.
Okay, I understand why time was an issue.
Timing was very, very difficult, and also
budget. The total budget for this project was 100,000 euros, which sounds a lot, but isn't a lot.
No, indeed, it is much lower than what I would have expected if you hear you telling this whole story.
Especially if you go from the whole concept phase until the production phase. Yeah, it's not much, and especially with the high target numbers that we got in the beginning from the client, very ambitious target. We were happy that we were able to make it as efficient as possible, to be able to reach as much pupils as possible, to have a very good online campaign as well. But within the limited amount, it wasn't easy. But
because just to make sure, the budget, the 100,000, it was the concept, it was the creation, it was the roadshow,
it was
the
film,
script, but also the campaign. Partly. We also had a little support from the European Commission. We had also a few micro-influencers to help out the campaign. They were strong in for example, Antwerp, or somebody else was strong, for example, Brussels. But the everything was included in that budget, so also the campaign.
That's impressive, and
I think the secret to the success is as well the very good relationship that we had with the client. It was really a teamwork. I've never seen that before, that a client is so involved and so working along to get to the result. I think that's a very...
Yeah, because the roadshow was mainly like a toolbox that was given to the client. We had one logistic manager, let's say, who went from location to location to help out, but on the stand itself, it were people from the 4 fronts themselves who were volunteers, which the client searched for. So it was a great collaboration to get everything also within the budget. It's not only the Sylvester part doing their job to get in the budget. It was also the client who also said, like, okay, this in the budget, let's do that with volunteers. Okay, this in the budget, okay, we can do it like that. And that's the way it worked out within the budget.
A very impressive case. Thank you so much for sharing it with us here.
Thank you for inviting us, and
Thank
maybe
you
next
for the
time.
time. Yeah.
And you at home, thank you for watching our show. I hope to see you next week.